Hello Aquarius, and welcome to my channel Tarot by Gabrielle. This is going to be a general reading for Sun, Moon, Rising, and Venus signs, looking at your connection to the person that you are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. We're looking at all three sides of the connection. We've got your energy toward it, their energy toward it, and the energy in between, the concept being there are three sides to every story. So we're looking at your version of the truth, their version of the truth, and this higher level unbiased truth in the middle. This middle section is really looking at what is the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. As I do in all of my readings, I pulled the overall energy and clarified those messages, as well as the overall theme for the reading, which we'll jump into in just a second, but I still have a different tarot deck I'll be pulling from for each side of the connection, as well as the advice deck that I'll be pulling from to close out the reading in the extended. Any information on the extended reading or on booking a personal reading with me is in the description box below. Last thing, please remember that these are general readings. They are not here to resonate fully for everyone, and they won't resonate fully for everyone. So do please remember to take what does resonate and helps your personal situation and leave what does not. On that note, the whole reading can be reversed. If that is the case for you, that's totally fine and totally normal. Again, take what helps, leave what doesn't. All right, Aquarius, on your side of this connection, you have I was disillusioned with the Seven of Cups. This Seven of Cups is this energy of like confusion. Like things ended up not being what you thought they were, which I kind of get with this disillusioned card. But it's very much like a what the hell happened kind of energy, almost like you're having a hard time figuring out why something went down the way that it did, or really just kind of like what ultimately happened here. Because I feel like maybe you thought things were good, or you thought things were going to go a certain way, and then something happened and it turned out to be, I feel like, very different than what you had in mind, or like what you expected or wanted. And now you're like, it's just this energy of like, what the hell? What the hell? Now this person, they have unlocked potentials with the Knight of Swords. So this is interesting because I feel like they saw the potential in this connection just as much as you did, but it feels like I don't know if they got spooked necessarily, like if that's the right way to say that, but I feel like they ran from that for some reason. It's almost like, we run from love because we don't think that we're deserving of it. We fear getting hurt. And all of these things could be very true for this person. And I feel like that's what left you going, what the hell? It's like maybe things were going good, but then they started getting serious, or, you had spent, just certain things started happening. Their true color started to come out. They started getting more afraid, started pushing you away, creating distance, and you're going, what the hell is happening? Like nothing's changed. But I feel like to them, it was that they got spooked in some way. Now, I'm not saying you did anything to do that. Like, I'm not saying you did anything wrong or that you came on too strong or anything like that. I just feel like they kind of just freaked out a little bit, to be honest. In between this connection, you have unresolved issues with the Wheel of Fortune. So you're due for positive changes in love, but I feel like the unresolved issues in this connection are keeping you from that, or blocking you from those positive changes in love, whether it's in this connection or not. Because I feel like it's, again, when someone does a switch up on us, which I do kind of feel happened in this connection, we can have a hard time trusting ourselves, because we're like, man, I really thought things were good, or I thought this was going to be right, and it's not. And now I don't know what to think, and I don't know what to feel, and I don't know what's going on. And I think that it's really easy to slip into this idea that we're never going to have what it is that we deserve and desire in love. And I think that a big piece of you being able to attract that or get to that place is going to be kind of understanding what really went down in this connection. Overall theme of the reading is pay attention to the red flags. And it says the signs are cautioning you. Now, what I ultimately feel like this is talking about is looking at, we have to learn to pay attention more to how somebody makes us feel than how we feel about someone. When we're in a connection and we we meet someone, we get these, the feelings, the chemistry. It's exciting. There's all this newness. And sometimes we can get so caught up in that we don't pay as much attention to like the way that they make us feel. Do we feel heard? Do we feel seen? Do we feel respected? Do you feel cared for? Or are you caught up in the experience that you're not really paying attention to the way that, someone is making you feel? But I don't know how that connects to the overall story. So I feel like we'll see as we dive into tarot. All right, Aquarius' side of this connection to the person they are dealing with and needing to learn the most from right now. This is Aquarius' side of the connection. Ooh. Seven of Pentacles. You could have been dealing with an earth sign, Virgo, Taurus, Capricorn, but you didn't have to be. I feel like what this is saying is like you were very stable in this, very committed to this work, to this connection, and maybe still are, but I feel like there's a reason I'm talking about it in past tense. This could be a past connection. But again, take it as it resonates, regardless of what tense whether I'm speaking about it in present or past tense. But the Seven of Pentacles is very much this energy of like commitment, consistency, day by day, showing up, loyalty. And I feel like you had that here, like especially with this King of Pentacles, like you were solid, you were a rock in this connection. And I feel like you didn't really expect what happened here. It's like you didn't expect what happened. Aquarius' side of this connection. The World in reverse with the Six of Swords in reverse, and now you feel stuck. Because again, there's this energy of like, what the hell? Ever since this Knight of Swords happened. And I feel like you're having a hard time moving forward, maybe in this connection or outside of this, like just moving on. I'm not quite sure, but it feels like this connection is helping you break a pretty intense cycle. There's a cycle here. I hear over romanticizing. This is something that I always kind of struggled with in my relationships, is when we meet someone, we want to see them through the lens of their potential, right? You create this idea of who they are and what things are going to be, and then kind of ignore who they show you they are, because you're like, oh, I see this potential, I see the potential of you, I see the potential of this connection, and you ignore, not saying you in particular, we've all been there, but you kind of ignore as who they show up as. And this goes kind of back to what I was saying about paying more attention to how you feel about someone than how someone makes you feel. So for instance, like, like, oh, this connection could be so good, but then like, they're not, like the little things, like they're not showing up when they said they would, or they're playing mind games, or you're always second guessing how they feel, but you're holding on to what it could be. And I feel like, I don't know, I don't know what happened here, but I feel like they switched up on you. And it made you, and now I feel like you're having a hard time figuring out how to move on from this, or how to move forward, because what you thought this was, or who you thought they were, turned out to be very different than who they actually were. But there was a little bit of like rose-colored glasses there. Now, I don't want to say like the signs are there the whole time. Okay, I've been there. All right, I've been in relationships where you kind of look back and you're like, oh, there are the signs. Hindsight is always 20/20. So I'm not saying this was your fault, But I do think that there is something to be said about this pay attention to the red flags card. Like, people show you who they are pretty early on. But sometimes we hold on to the potential of what could be, that we like almost don't see it. This is Aquarius' side of this connection. The Two of Swords. What the hell? Okay, hang on. Let me clarify this Two of Swords. Blinded. Blinded by love. Blinded by... Yeah, it's like you were blinded by love or infatuation here. Like, I'm getting that. So, because the Ace of Cups is like the need to kind of be honest with yourself, to look at things through a truthful lens, to kind of face the stuff that isn't always fun to face, maybe uncomfortable emotions and things like that. But look at this Two of Swords. She's blindfolded. It's like you were blinded by love, like I said, maybe even infatuation. And then, I don't know, something happened and it was like, snapped you back to a reality in some way. Blinded by love, huh? Which probably made it really hard for you to see the red flags. Especially if your blinders are on, right? If your blindfolds on, you can't see the red flags. And I don't know. Okay, I don't know where this reading is going, to be honest with you. Let me see what this person has going on. This person's energy toward Aquarius. Unlock potentials with the Knight of Swords. Person's energy toward Aquarius, but yeah, you feel stuck. I get why. I mean, this is a very confusing I can understand the confusion. It's a confusing dynamic. Hang on, this is this person's energy toward Aquarius. I wasn't in the right intention, I don't think, because I was still kind of caught up on what's going on here. Okay, this person's energy toward Aquarius, please. The Knight of Wands in reverse. They straight up sabotaged this. Self-sabotaged. It's like, I don't know. I don't know what they did. I feel like this Knight of Wands in reverse was the same as this Knight of Swords. Ran from this. Self-sabotage. You know, the Knight of Wands in reverse is also a lack of vulnerability, a lack of honesty, a lack of openness, being closed off, and that can ultimately lead to sabotage. But I feel like they self-sabotaged this. It's like they self-destructed, which left you going, what the hell happened? What did I do? Because you're obviously going to go, it must have been me, right? If you sabotaged this, or if you walked away, or if you ran from this, or if you started treating me poorly, like, this must have been me, but I don't think it had anything to do with you. It's almost like they were spooked by this potential. This person's energy toward Aquarius. The Nine of Swords. Literally, oh my gosh. The Nine of Swords. Insecure. Literally, oh my gosh. Okay, sorry. Empress, Nine of Swords. Strength in reverse. It's almost like they felt like you were too good for them. Their insecurities came out. Their feelings of not being good enough came out here. Which in turn, I feel like was very confusing for you, because then they started, when we start feeling insecure and fearful, and we don't have the self-awareness or emotional awareness to be able to identify that and not react immediately to it, self-sabotage is going to happen. And I feel like that's what happened. It's like they started feeling like they weren't good enough. Their insecurities started coming out, and instead of handling it, rationally, it's so interesting. But I feel like what this pay attention to the red flags is saying is like there were signs that this was going to happen. And maybe this is a cycle for you. You get into connections with people, and then when things start getting serious, like they ditch. They run, they push you away. Or maybe it's a cycle with this person. I don't know. But it's their own insecurities here. With the Nine of Swords, like their insecurities, their fears, their doubts, their feelings of not being good enough. It's like you see you as this empress, whether you're male or female, it doesn't matter. As this valuable, compassionate, caring individual, and it's almost like that started to make them doubt their own self-worth, and they were like, well, I don't know what to do because I don't feel good enough for this person, so I guess I'll just mess it up. It's kind of like the idea of, because self-sabotage can happen when we fear failure, so we won't even, go after our goals or our dreams because we already expect failure, so we'd rather just not try rather than try and fail. Because then at least it's within your control, right? It's kind of the same type of thing. It's like they're like, oh, there's no way this is going to work. Like, I don't feel good enough. So they self-sabotaged here so that they didn't end up getting hurt in the end. Now, one of the things that I want to make very clear is, remember, 95% of our movements, choices, and decisions stem from our subconscious. Only 5% of the way we interact with our reality is conscious level decision making. Meaning, I'm not saying this person is sitting there having a conversation with themselves going, I don't feel good enough for Aquarius. My insecurities and fears are coming out, so I'm going to self-sabotage. We have to remember that if the whole point of becoming self-aware, kind of the waking up and to the whole of you and to understanding that your emotions aren't you and all the things we talk about in spirituality. Before that, you kind of live in an event reaction reality where like you aren't aware of your fears, doubts, and insecurities. You aren't aware of how your trauma can affect things, and you just kind of like do things. You just act. You just self-sabotage without even realizing that you're doing it. I feel like that's kind of what happened here. It's like they saw this potential and they were like, how? God, this is too good to be true. I'm not good enough for this. I'm gonna mess it up. And that's when you were like, what the hell happened? What did I do? Or what changed or whatever. And it had nothing to do with you at all. This person's energy toward Aquarius. This person's energy toward Aquarius, please. The Queen of Cups. Man, this person thinks very highly of you. They think very highly of you. You also could be dealing with a water sign. Pisces, Cancer, Scorpio. You don't have to be. But yeah, it's like so hang on, this is so interesting because it's like you show up, Queen of Cups, Empress, like this wonderful, loving, compassionate, kind, caring energy, and they're like, how can I mess this up? Humans are so interesting. Like, let me clarify this Queen of Cups really fast. There's Wheel of Fortune in reverse. Humans are so interesting because we are actually afraid of the love, happiness, and abundance that we desire. We actually prefer to stay in spaces, places, experiences that we're used to. Your ego actually prefers your self-sabotage. Your ego wants you to be in the exact same place that you are right now for forever because it knows exactly what that feels like, exactly what that experience is like, how it feels, or how it looks, how to process it, like all of it. And again, that's why the whole awakening, becoming aware, things of that nature are so important because it allows us to separate our ego from what's best for us, so we aren't just letting our fears, doubts, and insecurities run the show, which is what's happening here. So it's like this person, you come along, and you're compassionate. Like I said, I started out Seven of Pentacles, King of Pentacles, stable, committed, loyal, compassionate. Like they see you as this compassionate, caring caretaker, like, and they just straight up messed it up. And it's interesting because then all of this comes back to like you being blinded by love. Like I feel like you didn't expect this at all. But I also feel like it's like there were signs. Not saying it's your fault, okay? But learning to recognize those signs keeps you from repeating the cycle, right? That's one of the best things I learned is that, like, I am at a point in my life, and it's something that I've worked really hard, a place I've worked really hard to get to. But I can smell BS from miles away. Like, it's so crazy thinking about, like, how I used to view people and how I view people now. Like, it's like I feel it. And my gut can know when there's something off. And I feel like I used to totally ignore that part of me because I was lonely and I wanted relationships to work. And it's like now, like even just because I'm obviously engaged, like even just meeting people that that are strangers, like friend, whatever, like it's like I'm like, oh man, it's just interesting because I think that sometimes when we really want something to work, we ignore those feelings that something's off, that someone isn't being totally honest with us, or we can tell that they're closed off, or they're not being vulnerable or willing to be vulnerable. Like it's like we ignore those because we want it to work. And I feel like this is about understanding that, you know, the way that this person has acted has nothing to do with you. This is their own inner battle. They're fighting their own. This is not you. This is them. It's very karmic for them. I feel like Wheel of Fortune in reverse, it's like they create these own negative experiences for themselves because they know how to handle those, okay? So not anything to do with you. So what we can focus on is what is within your control, right? Because that's all that we can ever have control over is what's within our power, right? We can't control other people. We can't control what other people do. We can't control other people's inner war. We can't control their spiritual battle. We can't control any of that. We can only control how we respond, and learning to pay attention to when somebody is, you know, when you feel off. I don't know, like it's like, I don't know if there was necessarily, because you have this disillusion, right? So you certainly had like an idea of who this person was, but then that illusion was shattered when they showed up as who they really were. And so the goal is like, how do you see people for who they really are, so that you can see through that, so that you don't waste your time, energy, and get hurt investing in people who, you know, maybe aren't the most authentic or vulnerable from the beginning. And I think that, you know, the more that we learn to, because one of the best things I ever learned is let people show you who they are. And I talk about it a lot in my readings. You know, let people do what they're going to do. Let people show you who they are in their actions. And then you can decide from that point forward, like, okay, is this good for me? Like, is this enough for me? Is this what I deserve? Instead of like kind of ignoring how people show up and saying, oh, well, maybe that'll get better, or maybe I can change that, or I can fix them, or whatever, you know, our approach might be. Because again, this Seven of Pentacles with the King of Pentacles energy that you have, that loyalty, that commitment, like that's a gift. Truly, it's hard to find that. But when someone's, you know, not appreciating that or treating you, like valuing you appropriately from the beginning, like them freaking out, running from that's inevitable. Like that's gonna happen. And I feel like I don't know what happened here. I'm still kind of like, what the hell went down? And I think that, you know, the biggest thing you need to know in this reading is that the way they behaved has nothing to do with you. It is no indication of your value, what you're deserving of, that you did anything wrong. I'm not saying you were 100% perfect. No one's perfect. But, you know, being able to understand that it wasn't you. You know, it's not that you weren't good enough. I think that, in fact, right, this person felt not good enough. And I think that the way they acted then projected to you, like you kind of, the first way we tend to view things is through the lens of our fear, doubt, and insecurity. So you saw that through the lens of your insecurity, and you were like, oh, this must mean I'm not good enough or attractive enough or whatever. And I feel like it's important for you to kind of be able to really, I don't know if it's like close the door on this or walk away from this or distance yourself from this or find closure. I don't know what it is, knowing that, you know, the energy that you had to give was very wonderful. And I think that this person running from it, like knowing that that didn't have anything to do with you. But yeah, no, it's definitely a what the hell for sure. But I think, like, especially with this pay attention to the red flags, I don't know, it's just like the universe is like, listen, the signs were there. Now, learning to recognize those is the hard part, but when we can do that, we can make sure we don't repeat cycles. Because with the Wheel of Fortune, like, you're due for positive changes in love. Okay. I'm going to hop on over to the extended. I'm going to pull messages looking at the deeper purpose of the connection and the best way for you to move forward in order to align further with your higher self. Thank you so much, Aquarius, as always, for your support of my channel. I do obviously hope that this reading helped and resonated with you in a way that you were needing today. And as always, I wish you nothing but love and healing on your journey moving forward. Bye, Aquarius.